Back in Britain, Krispy Kreme's UK Supremo is checking out the next location for his upmarket donuts after the Showcase Harrods store. Yes, Enfield Retail Park. He's bought the site of a former Mexican restaurant. Curious choice maybe, but it's ideal for families, and Don Henschel says it hits his real target market.
This is the typical Krispy Kreme model. It's a standalone store, it's having a drive-through, and it's got what I would call a lot of category drivers in the area. So we've got a big B&Q behind us, we've got a UGC Cinema, we've got a big Sainsbury's here. There's other retailers, you know, the usual sort of big box, Comet, Halford, TGI Fridays. All these drag people to the area.
And Don Henschel and his team have already introduced tried and tested Krispy Kreme techniques to court younger customers. As in the States, this means approaching schools and offering donuts for fundraising. We've seen letters headed "Need to raise a little dough" sent to head teachers and charities inviting them to participate.
The schemes that Krispy Kreme runs in the US are starting here already. So we've been contacted by several nursery schools and disability charity in London who've been approached by Krispy Kreme saying, "Sell our donuts and you'll get some money back." Now, nursery schools, disability charities, why do they need to go for money to a donut manufacturer when already those children will be eating too much fat and too much sugar?
Don Henschel says it's about helping people, not boosting profits.
Our fundraising is actually trying to raise money just like a cake sale would. And if that happens in a school environment, then it's no different than them selling a cake. The letter you're referring to was sent to the majority of not-for-profit organizations. There were a couple of schools in that. But it was actually simply inviting them to a fundraising breakfast to actually hear about how does our fundraising work and would that be appropriate for them. If it's not appropriate, then we completely understand that and we're comfortable with that.
Isn't that a kind of example, really, of where something might get lost in translation, as it were, that something that's quite normal in America will not necessarily be greatly welcomed here?
Our experience to date is it has been welcome. It's something that takes time to grow. I mean, it's taken us 60 years to develop it to the level that you saw it is in America, and it is part of the American way of life. It isn't here, and I'm sure that our fundraising, just like our product range, will adjust with time to the UK consumer. So who's going to kick the fundraising update off?
3 months into it.
Krispy Kremes have wasted no time in contacting some of the most prestigious charities in the UK.
Really launched the fundraising.
Right now, with the help of the PR company who also launched Starbucks in this country, they're working on an event for Macmillan Cancer Relief.
Yeah,
That's really incredible.
yeah.
Good.
Cool, pretty exciting. Next thing, slightly different, Macmillan Cancer Relief. Every year they have had a coffee morning, and it's traditionally the last Friday in September. It's the world's biggest coffee morning. They have invited us to take part this year. We've got a meeting next week to firm up what we're going to do. I've thought about the idea of doing a special Macmillan donut along the lines of the Save the Children one. My only concern with this is that I'm not convinced that green sprinkles is going to work, so we might need to think of something
Is it
around
not
there.
green? It's not green and white?
Their
or-
colours are green and white.
Green and white. You and I can think about it. more.
As the PR push gathers pace, Krispy Kremes suddenly get an unexpected challenge. Last month, provoked by the American invasion, our biggest high street chain has come up with a very British riposte. Fly the flag for the Great British Donut, sold by British home stores, made by British bakery Tent Dome, and fronted by the frightfully British Broderick Monroe Wilson.
How are you? Ladies and gentlemen, it gives us very great pleasure to declare the Great British Donut Company open for business. Way!
And just to prove donuts and champers really do mix,
There, boys.
Gentlemen, to the Great British Donut.
Cheers. Cheers.
Well done.
Well done.
National brand.
British home stores are launching their product in 50 stores throughout the nation within the next year. With 15 thrilling varieties of the traditional donut, they're aiming to give Krispy Kreme a run for their money.
I think it's an absolute cheek and a nerve to think that they can come over here and wipe the floor with us without us putting up an amazing rearguard action. I mean, I think we can beat them, and we can certainly beat them on our own home turf, but maybe on their game.
The Brits may have declared donut war, but the Americans are being uncharacteristically restrained.
We welcome competition. We have to keep focusing on producing a great Krispy Kreme donut, and then we'll let the consumer decide.
Have you seen their donuts? Have you
Oh,
tried them?
sure, absolutely. Yes.
And what do you think?
I'm feeling, that we need to we'll keep producing Krispy Kreme donuts, and we'll let the consumer decide.
What do you think about the British Homestore donuts?
It's a. I don't have a strong view. It's not a Krispy Kreme donut.
It certainly isn't. With Don's store in Enfield due to open in a couple of months, the BHS team are aggressively going all out to spoil their party.
From the new cabinet, yes.
I think if we got our marketing right, there's no reason in the world why we can't take on the Americans head on and beat them. Now, if we turn this into a national brand, all guns will be blazing. So we'll be out there, we'll take on those Yankee boys head on, Maybe they're not Yankees, they may be from the deep south, but we'll take the colonies on head on.
So here's to the Great British Donut.
Absolutely.
Whatever happens, you can be sure we'll be flooded with donuts in this country. Maybe not what we need right now, with the present worries about obesity. Still, the smart money from aficionados is that Krispy Kreme will pull it off.
People could fall for it. And I guess the real thing is betting on the fact that once people try them, they then won't be able to trade down again. Once they've had the Rolls Royce, will they happily get back into the Cortina?